Hello everybody, this is Bloba coming to you with another Kindred Fates video. This time, I want to be talking about everybody's favorite sea monster, Bakionawa. First thing I want to get out of the way with Bakionawa is that is a placeholder name, much like Light Stag was for Lunala and Shovelbutt was for Shovelet. So they will be getting changed eventually. So all we may know him as Bakionawa now, likely have a different name in the future, probably after he gets added to the alpha. If he is one that gets added to the alpha, that is. I know there's been a lot of call out for new kinfolk, and a water kinfolk in particular. I am a supporter of this. I think water will add the most variety to the game, more so than air type, because that Slifer kind of almost fills the niche an air type fills, but also has some dark type activities going on too, with like stealing from people and stuff like that, doing the trickery aspect. So he's kind of like a mix between a dark and an air almost. Bakionawa will likely fill that bruiser of a, well, not really bruiser, is not the right word, but more like the up in your face melee person who's less squishy than something like a more glass cannon build of Slifer. So that's why I wanted to talk about how Bakionawa would fit into the current meta. First off, talking about his moves. While we have virtually no information about Bakionawa besides the fact he's big, we know that he will have some type of combo-based moveset because of being water. Mostly focused on melee, if I understand correctly. With his massive size, he's going to be a much easier target to hit than normal, though. So engaging in melee combat might be a little bit hard to do because they'll see him coming from a mile away, and mobility is king right now. And with kinfolk like Lumala, Slifer, and to a lesser extent Skulkin, being able to just get away, or maybe like a Shovelet dropping a quicksand on him or something like that, I think melee combat is really, really weak right now in the alpha. But assuming that Bakionawa can break this mold, that's why I'm so excited for water types, is maybe they'll make melee combat a little bit more viable. If he can be really fast and get in there and be very agile to dodge out of the way of attacks and stuff despite his big size, then we could see him having some really fun combos. Like imagine he gets in there and he can do something similar to Slifer's swipe and bite combo, for instance. It's been said that this is almost a small hint, a small taste of what water types will be doing, so we could see something more intricate than a simple swipe bite combo. We could also see him perhaps do some kind of a ranged combo. Like imagine he rushes in, doing a ranged attack, shooting like a projectile into, then he follows the projectile up and then hits them right after the projectile hits them, and continues like a staggering animation there, like that, like a small stun lock as he goes to town on moves like that. He could also use his big body perhaps to his advantage. Maybe he'll have Collider, so you can't move through him, and he could move in such a way that he could engulf you like a serpent that he looks like, and trap you in there and keep you in place while you wail on him with special combo attacks, going in for bites and thrashes, and like I said, potentially some more projectiles being thrown in there from the middle. The moveset is just pure speculation, and it's honestly one of the hardest parts of this, of thinking how he's going to fit, because we have virtually no information about what the moveset will be. But if we assume he will be a strong melee fighter who is able to get close without huge problems, then we can go on to how he will affect each of the kinfolk in the alpha currently. First off, the question on everyone's mind: could a water type like Bakionawa be a counter to Inbear? And I think the answer is going to be no, unless that the devs are really, really creative in how Bakionawa works. Inbear might not even be a stereotypical fire type, because he's often a lot slower than what I imagine most fire types are going to be, being hit and run. But Inbear is incredible at dealing with up-close aggression. Like if you get close to him, he has fire spin. While you're charging him, he can zone you with Scorch. If you get past both of those, he can just drop an explosion at his feet, which does huge damage and knocks you back. If you try to run away from him and fight him at range, he can have a fairly strong and accurate basic attack to pelt you with at range while you try to find an opening. Ember is an incredible fighter. He's very well rounded and well balanced for dealing with both ranged and melee, but I'd say he's a little weaker to range than he is to melee because once you get close to Ember, he can unleash his full suite of powers on you. So unless Bakionawa has something that can counter particularly burn, so he can just run through the scorches without caring, perhaps passive that makes it so that he doesn't take burns, then I don't think he's going to be doing much to stop him there. Now versus Kadoki. Kadoki is another kinfolk who's relatively strong against melee kinfolk. He has his stunner flies, which are ridiculous if you get close and get caught by them. He has sleep, which he can set you up for another combo with. And he has his vines that can keep you knocked back. I think Kadoki will exemplify the Gaia versus water type attribute very, very well. His playstyle very likely hard counter in most common water types playstyles. Lumala, I think Lumala will just run circles around Bakionawa. Most likely, he's going to be such a big target and easy to hit with stuff like Righteous Light and his homing attacks and even just basic attacks. The only thing I could see is if Bakionawa, like I said, can close the distance really fast, kind of like a Slifer, then he could probably put some hurting on Lumala, because Lumala is absolutely abysmal in melee combat. But catching Lumala is going to be very difficult, because Lumala is one of the most agile kinfolk in the game at the moment. Mechid. Now for Mechid, it's a little bit interesting, because Mechid is a melee brawler type himself. So when they go into combat like that, they're going to be kind of evenly matched. The biggest thing is Mechid's probably going to do more damage and have more health. So I think that a mecha will do fair against the water. Maybe not be a hard counter, but it'll be with a big hitbox. It'll probably be easy for Mecha to land an Iron Fist and stun him. And those just throwing some rages and Mecha strikes down there, and with the mobility of Mecha's rush to get him out of the way if Bakionawa's causing too much of a problem. I think Mecha would have a fair chance against another melee combatant, as right now, if you take something like a Shovelet and put it against the Mechid, the Mechid dominates them, and if a Slifer against the Mechid and the Slifer doesn't do hit and run, the Mechid will dominate them, so I think it won't be much different from Bakionawa. But now on Shovelet, it becomes a little bit more interesting in Bakionawa's favor, I think. Shovelet does very poorly when someone can actually get on top of him. That's why, like I said, Mecha destroys them, even with Shovelet camping in quicksand. Slifer is too squishy, though, to really deal much damage to Shovelet without basically sacrificing himself. You can do it if you're willing to sacrifice your Slifer, but most of the time you prefer not to do that. But with Bakionawa, if we have Bakionawa be tankier than Slifer, maybe not as tanky as Mechid, but able to withstand that quicksand, he could potentially force Shovelet out of the quicksand from the damage he's doing to him, then continue to pursue him afterwards and just keep constant pressure on Shovelet, which is the way that I think Shovelet is going to be needed to be defeated and countered, is by just having constant melee pressure put on them. Skullkin's up next. Without Skullkin's teleport, I think Skullkin would simply be dead in the water. No pun intended. Bakionawa comes after Skullkin. I can play out a quick match for you. Bakionawa charges Skullkin. Skullkin throws down Caustic Cloud. Bakionawa dodges. Skullkin teleports away. Bakionawa chases him down. Bakionawa kills Skullkin. The only chance Skullkin would have would be much similar to how he deal with Slifer, which is just doing a Caustic Cloud down and just sitting inside of it, but there's probably going to be some way for Bakionawa to deal with that, like a Chrysantidote. You just throw Chrysantidote on, then just go in there, and you would probably kill the Skullkin before the just ambient damage from Caustic Cloud killed you, because you're not getting poisoned. It would definitely be probably enough to warrant Skullkin running away, and then you could chase him down, and so on. I think Bakionawa is going to do really good against Shovelet and Skullkin, which is good, because Shovelet is an amazing kinfolk right now. One of the best. Skullkin, he could be better. Not the worst by a long shot, but he's right there in the middle. So both of those counters would be well appreciated. And then as for Slifer, I think Bakionawa will likely just dominate Slifer. Slifer is super fast and all about melee. Slifer struggles with a Mechid if the Mechid gets a hold of him, but that rarely happens because the Mechid is so slow. But I think with a Bakionawa, the Slifer won't be able to get away as easily as he does with Mechid. Bakionawa is all about brush downs and getting in there into melee combat. Not so much as Slifer is, or an air type would be, but I think if Bakionawa just keeps on Slifer, when Slifer turns around to try to unleash his combo, Bakionawa will probably beat him with his own combo. I imagine the water type combo will probably beat a null type's combo and just slam Slifer into the dirt. Which would be amazing to have another counter for Slifer outside of like Shovelet is my primary counter for Slifer right now. So, with a quick review, I think Ember will not have much issue. Kadoki will probably have a hard counter on Bakionawa. Lumala will be mixed, maybe slightly in the favor of Bakionawa if he's fast. I think Mechid will have an advantage. Shovelet will have a disadvantage. Skulkin will have a disadvantage, and Slifer will have a disadvantage. So, with the only particular hard counter being Kadoki, then Mechid and Ember probably performing well. Having 3 people that Baki counters and 1 person that's kind of mixed with Lumala, I think Bakionawa would be an amazing addition to the current roster if these predictions turn out to be true. I hope that he's better and that he's actually able to get in quickly and maybe to lock people down. It'd be awesome to see a counter to Lumala, who I don't really think has a counter right now. There's some things you can do against Lumala, of course, that are more effective than others, but it's nothing that really shuts a Lumala down like some of the other kinfolk have. Ember is also the same way. He doesn't have any really hard shutdowns. So seeing something that could really put those two in their place would be amazing, since I don't think Ember needs nerfs at all, and Lumala, I would love to see a nerf to the healing, but overall, it's pretty solid outside of that. But Bakionawa could be that balancing factor of being able to make people hesitant, because right now Ember is essentially on every team. A Bakionawa, if they're able to counter an Ember, they might make you think, what if they have a Baki on their team? Is my Ember going to be able to stand up to that? Same thing with the Slifer, Skulkin, and Shovelet are all very common as well, which would then in turn make us see more Mechids and Kadokis if they do counter them, like I'm thinking they will, which are 2 underrepresented. Underrepresented. My words don't work. They're characters that aren't played as much as they should be. So I think that would be awesome to see a Bakionawa in here, even if he only counters Shovelet, Skulkin, and Slifer like I'm thinking. But let me know what you guys think of Bakionawa in the comments below. Let me know what kinfolk you would love to see next, and let me know if there's any other kinfolks you would like me to have a video on speculating about how they might work. But until then, this has been Monster King Bloba, signing off. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Goodbye. God bless. See you all next time.